So, coming back from that reflection on the 5 A's, you may have noticed that I mentioned the terms compassion and loving kindness. It's very important to practice these with yourself as you do this work. Self observation requires presence, so being in the moment and looking what is, accepting what is, and part of that acceptance, how we get to the appreciation, is by expands. So, really, by doing this work, you're giving a great gift to the world. So, let's dig into what the Enneagram is. It is a system for transformation. I like to think of it as an orientation, almost like a compass, or even as a framework. I often refer to the Enneagram as a choose your own adventure for personal growth. So, I invite you to give it whatever chapter heading works for you, and to think of it as something that you can step in and out of and lean on as you need a little bit of advice or support. If you're looking to find what your blind spots are, the Enneagram is a great framework to use. It's also a great way for you to identify what some of your gifts are. So, again, looking at what is right and good within you. So within the Enneagram, we have 9 different motivations, and you can think of these as 9 different lenses. There's a story about the blind men and the elephant, and they'd never seen an elephant before. One of them held on to the end of the elephant's tail and said, "Oh, an elephant is like a toilet brush." Another man held on to the leg of the elephant and said, "Oh, an elephant is like a tree trunk." A third man held onto the trunk of the elephant and said, "Oh, an elephant is just like a hose." And so, with the Enneagram, we have different lenses that we see the world through. And by understanding all 9 of these lenses, we get a bigger picture. We get the whole picture. So, referring back to the elephant, each of those 3 men was correct, but none of them have the whole picture. So as we dig in and we look at these 9 archetypes, these 9 lenses, or these 9 type structures, part of the invitation is to notice which parts of these are alive inside of each of us. So while we do have one core type structure, which is where our core motivation comes from, we do have elements of all of these within us because these are all part of the human experience. Within these 9 type structures, we see different triads. And so we have 3 intelligence centers: the head, the heart, and the gut. Each of these has an underlying emotion. So the head, being future focused, has an underlying emotion of fear, the high side of that being security. The heart tends to be past focused, ruminating on what they did wrong, how they impacted other people, and how they might do more to be validated by others. So, looking for external validation. And there's a feeling of shame that goes with that. And the flip side of that would be love. For the gut types, the belly or body center, there's an underlying emotion of anger. And anger roots us in the present, just like a toothache. We can't ignore it. It is right here and right now. And on the flip side of anger is self worth. Another part of Enneagram theory that we dig into in the Know Thyself series is the 9 levels of integration. And this is a vertical level of growth that looks at how much awareness and presence we have, as well as how much fear, constriction, and ego identity we are living in our lives. So, lots of different aspects of this theory to explore and look at. We're going to dig in first to the 3 intelligence centers, and then we're going to take a peek at each of the 9 motivations. What I found curious when I first started working with the Enneagram system is that these feelings of shame, fear, and anger actually are alarm systems that we developed as children to keep ourselves safe. So there is actually an intelligence to that because there's an instinctive desire to be safe in the world. So I invite you here to look at shame, fear, and anger and how each of these serve you, how each of these intelligence centers, the head, the heart, and the gut, are three sources of wisdom. The opportunity in learning about these with the Enneagram is to learn how we can use all three of these centers at once to really harness our innate wisdom. So I invite you to pause the video at this point and just write down some notes about the three ways of processing from the head, the heart, and the gut, the three different emotions, the shame, the fear, and anger, and how each of these serve you. We often talk about integration with Enneagram theory. So, again, looking at ourselves as integrated beings. And as we self observe and self reflect, how can we integrate even more these three intelligence centers and then the nine different motivations or the nine type structures that exist around the Enneagram wheel? So we're going to start with the head center. So again, the head center, the underlying emotion is fear. Enneagram fives are all about clarity and masterful knowledge. They are motivated by seeking information and understanding the world. Enneagram sixes have a fear of being unsafe, so they are motivated by their search for guidance. Enneagram sevens are motivated by freedom, happiness, and possibilities. And they are movers and shakers and often referred to as the enthusiast. Next, we'll move into the heart center. So, the heart center, again, the underlying emotion of shame and seeking validation from the world outside of ourselves. So, again, looking at what aspects of these do you connect with in your personality, in your way of being, and in your motivation? Enneagram 2 is motivated by connecting with others through loving relationships. They are called the supporter or the helper in many Enneagram resources for good reason. They want to be appreciated in the world. Enneagram threes are motivated by creating value in the world, and they show up with a desire to exemplify, and embody this personal sense of value in all that they do. Enneagram fours are creative and they have a desire to know themselves fully, to express their uniqueness, and to have a unique sense of identity in the world. So, taking a moment to appreciate the heart and all the ways that they create goodness in the world, and how do these qualities show up inside of you? And next, we'll take a look at the gut center. Enneagram 1 is looking to make things fair. They're motivated by strong principles, desire for goodness, and they tend to be the idealists and the champions for justice in the world. Enneagram 8s are strong and powerful. They're motivated by their desire to have power, impact, and influence. And we'll finish off at the top of the Enneagram circle with Enneagram 9. Enneagram 9s are the mediators, and they have a desire to create harmony, consensus, and inclusivity in the world. So, taking a moment to appreciate the gut center for bringing us into the present moment with that underlying emotion of anger, and recognizing that all of these qualities live inside of all of us to varying degrees. So, all in all, with the system of transformation called the Enneagram, our opportunity is to look at ourselves and others with kindness, compassion, and appreciation. With this awareness, We can elevate the quality of our relationships and the quality of our communication, both with ourselves and with others. We can apply this information to relationships across our lives. So, whether that's within our families, our friendship circles, our romantic relationships, or our relationships at work, this information can be very, very powerful in creating a deeper sense of clarity and connection with all. So we'll finish off by offering a couple resources for you. And I'm going to share a little screenshot of my favorite Enneagram books. So these are probably the 5 Enneagram books I reference the most. In the workshops I offer, I typically recommend The Wisdom of the Enneagram, the book at the top, as well as the Enneagram Relationships and Intimacy. The other 3 books are great favorites of mine, and there are many, many wonderful resources to support your learning. I also recommend the Enneagram Institute website, the Enneagram in Business website, and a podcast by 2 wonderful Enneagram teachers, B. Chestnut and Uranio Paez. Thank you so much for joining me today. And here's to finding what is good and right within all of us. See you soon.